The Clockmaker's Secret, Chapter 5. The Keeper's Hour. Eleanor Graves did not touch the lens immediately. She had learned long ago that haste was the enemy of clarity. Instead, she stood very still, listening to the workshop as one might listen to a breathing creature. The clocks had returned to their suspended silence, as if the fifth chime had never occurred at all. Yet the air still vibrated with its echo. She knelt at last and lifted the lens with a handkerchief. It was finely cut, curved for precision rather than ornament, and bore a faint scratch near its edge. A working lens, not decorative. A professional's tool. A watchmaker's, she murmured. Or someone who needs to see what others cannot. Back at the constabulary, Superintendent Malloy examined the lens beneath a magnifier. "No match to anything we've catalogued so far," he said. "But you were right, it's recent." "Still warm when you found it, you said." "Yes," Eleanor replied. "Which means whoever left it was close. Close enough to hear the fifth chime." Mallory frowned. "You think someone triggered it remotely?" "No," Eleanor said softly. "I think someone was standing exactly where Harrow once stood." She placed the cipher parchment on the table and laid the brass fragments beside it. The words "The Keeper returns at dusk" stared back at them, deceptively simple. "Dusk is approaching," Mallory said. "Should we be preparing for something?" "We already are," Eleanor replied. "We simply don't yet know what." That evening, Eleanor paid a visit to Clara Whitby's home on the edge of the village. The historian received her with visible unease. Lamps glowed low, casting tall, wavering shadows across shelves crowded with brittle books and rolled parchments. "You didn't tell me everything," Eleanor said gently, once they were seated. Clara swallowed. "No. I didn't." "Why?" "Because some truths don't remain contained once spoken." She hesitated, then rose and retrieved a leather-bound volume from a locked cabinet. "Harrow asked me to keep this safe." She opened it carefully. Inside was a record, handwritten, meticulous, documenting a secret society that had existed briefly in the late 19th century. Clockmakers. Scholars. Archivists. People obsessed not with timekeeping, but with time itself. They called themselves the Keepers, Clara said. Specifically, the Keepers of the Fifth Chime. Eleanor felt a familiar tightening in her chest. And the fifth chime. Clara pointed to a passage. It marked a moment when something was hidden. Not an object but knowledge. Something dangerous enough that it had to be locked away, protected by ritual and silence. Protected by whom? Eleanor asked. Clara's voice dropped. By one keeper at a time. Eleanor leaned back slowly. You believe Harrow was one of them? I believe he inherited the role, Clara said. And that someone decided he had failed it. As Eleanor left the house, dusk crept across Amber Field like an ink spill. Church bells rang in the distance, their measured tones strangely distorted by the thickening air. She returned to the workshop. Inside, the grandfather clock stood waiting. At precisely 7 minutes past dusk, it began to move. Not ticking, counting. Eleanor watched, pulse steady, as the pendulum swung. The sound was deeper now, deliberate. The front panel slid open by itself, revealing not gears, but a narrow cavity she had not seen before. Inside lay a small brass medallion engraved with the same symbol she had seen on the cipher's seal. And beneath it, a folded card. She opened it. One keeper remains. Choose wisely. Behind her, a floorboard creaked. Eleanor did not turn. She smiled faintly. Because now, at last, she knew the question was no longer who killed Alistair Harrow. But who was meant to replace him? And whoever stood behind her had come to claim the role.
The message is deceptively simple, yet it carries a burden heavier than any confession. Harrow was not merely a victim, he was a guardian, standing alone at the threshold of knowledge meant to remain hidden. Now that threshold lies unguarded, and the responsibility has shifted, perhaps deliberately, onto me. I have spent my career exposing secrets, believing that truth is always a virtue. Yet tonight, for the first time, I hesitate. What if revelation does more harm than silence? Whoever engineered Harrow's death did not act in haste or rage. This was succession, not revenge. A calculated transfer of duty. I sense the presence behind me not as a threat, but as a test. If I choose wrongly, I may condemn more than myself. And yet, to refuse the choice would be to abandon it entirely. Time has been disturbed once already. I will not allow it to fracture again.
Thank you so much for watching today's video. I really hope it helped you practice your English and learn something new. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the next lesson. I'd also love to hear from you, so share your thoughts in the comments below. Your support means a lot and helps this channel grow. See you again in the next video.